Namaste, Jai Bharat. This is a very critical situation, critical question. After Operation Sindhu, and especially after the Sindhu Nadi water agreement getting put in abeyance, some people, quite a few people in Pakistan, claims that they want to have dialogue with Bharat, talks with Bharat. This, of course, they never used to say in the past. Whenever there was such movement from Bharat, they ignored it, behaving themselves as higher. That false consciousness they always had, and they still do have such false consciousness as they are something, which at times America also has. They are something. Pakistan has it more foolishly, America has it a little more reasonably. That's the difference. But nonetheless, a false consciousness is false consciousness. They want to have talks. Now there are a lot of problems. My External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, has already made it very clear to them that we shall only have talks on dialogues on two: one, terrorism, and two, your occupied Kashmir, Pakistan occupied Kashmir. That's all. There's no other talks. There's no other trades. Nothing. Pakistan is suffering because of water shortage, and we knew. We were so noble and decent in the past by not touching this Sindhu Nadi or Sindhu River Treaty, and they took it as granted. They considered that we can't do anything. That's the point. They were shouting that we can't do it, we can't stop it. International machine gun will come. This thing will come, that thing will come. China will do this, China will do that. Incidentally, they also said that China is making a dam in their occupied land, Tibet. It's not China. Tibet is not China as far as I'm concerned. Tibet from a Brahmaputra originates, and that dam is meant to block or flood Bharat water supply. This narrative Pakistan created, but China does not create this. China has already said that we are making the dam. Of course, dam can't be made overnight. They are saying we are making this dam for our requirement. They're within their rights. Since Tibet is Tibet, but since it's occupied by China, they make their things and it's their land. For the time being, they are under control of Tibet. So they make a dam, of course, that's their business. That's number one. Number two, 80% or I think 65, more than 60% of the water of the river Brahmaputra, which flows through Assam, is from Bharat, not from China. Only 40% or something less than that comes from China, flowing through Tibet and reaching Assam. But majority of water supply is ours, so it doesn't make any difference to us. China knows it, we know it. But Pakistan created a narrative out of it to please their people. They tell lies, Pakistan. Many people do tell lies, but Pakistan tells it intensely. It's difficult to find out when they don't lie. That's the situation with Pakistan. Lie and deceit. This is there in the blood, and they consider it as holy. They have reasons to justify this holiness of lies and deceit. So that narrative they created. So with all this pressure Pakistan is facing, they are at least showing to their people that they are in for a dialogue or wishes to have talk with Bharat. Whereas it had already been clear that we won't have any dialogue with you except on these two issues which I mentioned before. Pakistan occupied Kashmir and terrorism. Now they say we'll talk of Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and someone even said that you take Pakistan occupied Kashmir, all right. Now there are some problems with any talk to Pakistan. First of all, as it begins, who do you talk to in Pakistan? Who is accountable in Pakistan? Whose word will be heard by others? Now suppose there are few elements. I'll tell you the four elements in Pakistan. One is the unfortunate so-called civil government, which is not elected in the real sense of the term, which is this election rigging, rigged to elect Prime Minister, etc., etc. And who does this rigging? That's the army of Pakistan. Is the army openly accountable? No. They put their guns on the shoulder of the Prime Minister and other ministers and fire. Can the Prime Minister and the other ministry, the so-called democratically elected government, be accountable? No, because no one will listen to them. They can't make an order which the army would allow to be inoperational. So the civil government, which I call, can't be accountable because they're helpless, because they are not really elected. They have been rigged to elect, and the army would not come forward to accept or reject, because they are playing behind the curtain. Their objectives are different. Their attainments are different. Now the third aspect is the religious authorities, because Pakistan is a religious-centric society. If you hear them talking on the media or otherwise, in every sentence that they speak, 2 times they'll at least speak of Inshallah. So it's a religious-centric society, Islamic-centric society, where appeal to religious authority appeases the people who hear this. They appeal, they keep speaking on behalf of God. So once it is on behalf of God, this person who speaks any nonsense gets clean shit in the minds of the listeners. So they continuously adopt this method. I agree with our Major Aya, who in his channel says that Pakistan uses religion as an ATM machine. Right. I think it's not only ATM machine, as a vending machine. They want everything through religion, and for everything they put religion in front of the dominant. So the dominant will question them. That's the kind of situation in Pakistan. So who is an authority? So the army can't, civil government can't. The Maulavis, what they will do, no one knows. The least lettered people, not very educated people, they live in their own world behind the clouds, and they are using religion, etc., powerful. Then there is another element which had come into emergence later, the terrorist groups. Of late, the terrorists who were initiated by the Pakistan Army and other kinds of administrations to begin with had achieved a kind of autonomy, that they are autonomous, they get independent funds from the international jihadis. With many people in international jihad, they have sufficient funds to promote jihadi terrorism all over the world. Sections of people with money push this forward, and that gets accumulated in the hands of these jihadis, who in turn will help the army with money. Money plays there. So they are also kind of authority. You can't do anything. You can't do anything to them. So therefore, nobody in Pakistan can talk on or talk against terrorism. Our demand is that terrorism must be eradicated. At least the other world people also speak. Israel, of course, genuinely wants terrorism to be eradicated, but others don't. Look at the US, which speaks against terrorism to us, and they get the IMF fund Pakistan, and with the funded money they promote terrorism. What kind of standard is? What kind of attitude? What kind of mind such this is? And what kind of international relations this is? That's besides the point. I'm not focusing on that. So, whom will you talk to in Pakistan? And suppose you talk to X. Suppose you talk to the Prime Minister. That's how we can. That's the only person with whom we can talk as democracy. And suppose the Prime Minister agrees to everything. He signs all papers and goes back to Pakistan. And the army would say, "Bhaad mein jao," in their own language. Go to hell. We don't care. And they won't. Then what's the point of discussion? What's the point of wasting our time and several cups of tea and talks? Then that poor man sits and types, takes all the agreements in fine paper, getting printed, this and that thing. Everything goes waste, because nothing holds any ground. So under this situation, who in Pakistan is accountable to any agreement made with anyone? Ask this question yourself. So we can't have any discussion with Pakistan. We can't have any agreement with Pakistan. We can only react to them, or at least proactive in times. When they do something, we'll have to do something against that or counter that. Or we may have to do something in advance so that they would do it. These are the only two options available to us. Now, Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Pakistan occupied Kashmir, anytime will explode. It will become another Balochistan. There's a difference between Balochistan and Pakistan. The Balochis are fighting for their freedom, their independence. They don't want to join Bharat explicitly, though there are quite a few in Balochistan who wishes to be part of Bharat, but then the geography doesn't permit them. But in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, their brothers and sisters are there living in Bharat. So majority in Pakistan occupied Kashmir wants to be one with their other people, not really be separate nations. The majority in Pakistan occupied Kashmir wants to merge with Bharat. Actually, they directly want to merge with the Kashmir per se. Their own land, their own Kashmir, which they consider, which is in Bharat, which had always been an integral part of Bharat. Nothing new. It's Pakistan who intruded. It's Pakistani who destroyed the Kashmiri culture, the Pakistan who destroyed the Kashmiri language, and the Pakistan who destroyed Pakistani script by substituting it with Persian script. So Pakistan who destroyed Kashmir. So they would want to go back to their roots possibly, and I'm not talking about religious roots. Faith system doesn't matter, but I'm talking about cultural roots. So they will go back to with their other people, brethren in Bharat. So in Kashmir, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, majority wants to be with Bharat, practically in that sense. Only a small minority who may be otherwise radicalized, who would want to be independent. Even if they are radical, they won't go to Pakistan. They would like to be independent. But majority would like to be part of Bharat. They are not radicals. They know that the Muslims live much better in Bharat than many other places in the entire world. And those who live in Bharat know it, and those who come to Bharat know it, and those who interact with the Muslims of Bharat know it. We need not to give any demonstrations. The existence of my nation itself is demonstrative for sensible, at least, people to understand. So how can we talk to Pakistan? What kind of dialogue? I had the Qamar Shima, literally, very pathetically wanting Bharat to have dialogue with Pakistan. How can you talk, Dr. Qamar? Whom is accountable among you? Is there anyone accountable? That if one agrees and signs a paper, will others hold it up, live up to that? No. You yourself can't give any guarantee to this question I asked. And fundamentally, right from childhood, your madrasas, which of course is almost compulsory, your madrasas teaches every Pakistani born child to hate Hindus and Bharat. So you begin through hatred. How can there be trust? There's no question of trust. Of course, we don't trust many people because of their activities and actions. But then here, absolutely not possible, because you are theoretically, structurally wrong. Incorrigible structurally, irredeemable structurally, and obviously functionally. So there is no possibility of any talk with Pakistan, whatever anyone speaks in whatever extent. So please, anyone who talks towards a discussion, table discussion, which sounds very big but not possible with Pakistan, because of these reasons. There's no one who would hold up what we say or what they agree. One fellow agrees, other fellow disagrees. So we shall meet again. These confusions will continue. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Ram.